In yesterday's video, we talked about how Chase Young is going to be a Detroit Lion come Tuesday at the trade deadline, and that is what I predicted yesterday, that would happen. And the Commanders narrowly lost to the Philadelphia Eagles. It was looking on the fence there for a mighty long time, but A.J. Brown stepped up, and DeAndre Swift scored a touchdown as the Washington football team was not ready for the Commanders' fake tush push, and DeAndre Swift was able to score. He is on my fantasy team, so shout out to that whole situation. But the odds of us getting Chase Young or Montez Sweat have increased exponentially, and you guys know I feel like it is going to be Chase Young. Now, neither Sweat or Young had a sack today, but I don't think that changes anything. I do believe that Jonathan Allen is going to be off the table due to the fact that he is under contract for the next 2 years after this year. So I believe that is what is going to happen. The Washington Commanders, they hung in there, and they gave it all they could, but they couldn't get the W. There's a name that I looked into earlier today because the Detroit Lions need a wide receiver. Could the Detroit Lions, we have 4 major positions of need. We need a cornerback, a wide receiver. We could use a running back, although David Montgomery will probably be back after the bye. So that'll be that situation. Now we just need him to stay healthy, and we could use a defensive end as well. Curtis Samuel popped on my radar this morning because he could be a trade candidate as well, but his cap is I think he's getting paid much too much this year. I want to say it's between 12 and 15 million, but he could be somebody that could be on the trade block coming up. Washington is going to have some movement be made at the trade deadline, and I think it's going to come down to Montez Sweat or Chase Young, and I think it's going to be Chase Young. Now, there's a lot we can talk about. Today's game was huge for the Detroit Lions in a lot of ways. They were off today and they play tomorrow. So because the Seahawks won today, they move into the second seed with the 49ers loss. The 49ers dropped from the 3rd seed to the 5th seed and are now on the road if the playoffs started today. The Detroit Lions dropped from 2 to 3. They have an opportunity because of the tiebreaker with Seattle. They have an opportunity tomorrow with a win over the Las Vegas Raiders to go back to 6-2 or 6-2 and then go back to the 2nd seed. This got interesting this week. Now, no matter what happens next week, the Philadelphia Eagles will remain in first place. They are off just like the Detroit Lions. So the Detroit Lions could very well come back and potentially be in first place with the win over the Chargers and a Philadelphia Eagles loss. It would be close after that point because I think do they have a divisional loss? I don't think they do. No, they don't have a divisional loss. So I don't know who the Eagles play when they come back from the bye week. So the Detroit Lions are in a good position. And now you have... Today was very interesting because everybody knows that Kirk Cousins is done for the season. And I even had a thought, and I know a lot of y'all going to crucify me in the comment section, but that's cool. If the Minnesota Vikings offered us a draft pick, let's say they offered us a 4th round pick for Teddy Bridgewater, 4th or 5th round pick for Teddy Bridgewater, would you consider trading Teddy Bridgewater to the Detroit Lions? And you'd be like, well, Derek, we just got a reliable backup quarterback. Why would we trade Teddy Bridgewater? So here's what I would say. Is Hendon Hooker could come off the NFI list after the bye week or even after this game, right? He can come off the NFI list. David Blau could be our backup quarterback. Something happens to Jared Goff. He would come in after that 21-day window opened up for the Detroit Lions. They would have to decide what to do with Hendon. They could redshirt him and put him on the shelf, making David Blau number 2 quarterback, or they could then make Hendon Hooker our number 2 quarterback if they decided to trade Teddy Bridgewater away. But back to the trade of Chase Young to the Detroit Lions. With Kirk Cousins going down, and the Green Bay Packers are horrible. The Bears are playing at this very moment, and they're losing right now to these Los Angeles Chargers. There's no reason that the Detroit Lions should not win the NFC North. And I'm not being arrogant. I'm not already saying it's the case, meaning I'm not overlooking these teams. But let's be honest. Now we got the Minnesota Vikings twice with potentially a rookie quarterback who will get his first start probably next week. Then we have the Chicago Bears. They might stick with Tyson Bagent. He's looking better than Justin Fields in the brief chance I had to watch him. Then you have the Green Bay Packers, who are absolutely horrible, 2-5. There's no reason. Their record is a reverse of ours. So Minnesota is still in it. They currently hold the 7th seed as of right now. So I think that takes Danielle Hunter off the table. With the Minnesota Vikings, they have to decide whether they want Danielle Hunter to potentially walk next year and they get a compensatory 3rd round pick in the 2025 draft, or do they trade him for a 1st or a 2nd and get a pick this year in the 2024 draft? A lot of stuff happening, but it looks like, according to Yardbarker, that Jonathan Allen, even though he is not content, and I can only imagine what he said and felt today, that I think he's going to be there to stay. That's what the article says, that they are not going to trade Jonathan Allen. And I think that's actually a smart move, because he's under contract for the next 2.5 years. And he's making, I want to say, $15 million a year. So that leaves Montez Sweat or Chase Young. Today's loss pretty much guaranteed that one of those guys are going to be traded. And like I said in yesterday's video, they're looking to possibly franchise tag Montez Sweat and let Chase walk. And if they let Chase walk, if you're offering a 2nd round pick, if somebody offers a 2nd round pick for Chase Young, you got to take it. You have to take it. You declined his 5th year option. The best you would get if he walks in free agency is a 3rd round pick, and you'll use the franchise tag on Montez Sweat, no doubt. So the lot of stuff that happened in the NFL, even though the Lions didn't play, that affect the Lions, is kind of crazy. So the next 36 hours is going to be insane for the Detroit Lions and every team around the NFL. You already know how I feel, but between Montez Sweat and Chase Young, let me know who you would want. Or either, I think we can actually take Brian Burns off the table as well. I think, because believe it or not, the Carolina Panthers are still in play for the NFC South. The NFC South leading Saints are currently 4-4. That's how miserable the South is, that they're still in it, even though they just now got their first win in week 8. So it's going to be a very interesting trade deadline. A lot of stuff, a lot of moves could be made. Actually, Kendall Fuller could also be part of some type of trade package as well. So if Brad Holmes truly is GOAT status, he would pull off a multi-player trade. You could talk about a 2nd or 3rd round pick and a player for Chase Young and potentially Kendall Fuller as well. I want to say this article said that he was the 4th best corner, says among qualified players, PFF presently considers Fuller the 4th best corner this season and is especially bullish on his coverage ability. We could use a number 2, but again, if we bolster that pass rush, we can help out the cornerback position. We still need some depth back there, so it's going to be an interesting couple of days. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're almost at 15.3. We got kind of a lofty goal to get to 25,000 by the end of the season. Not quite sure we'll get there unless the Lions get to the Super Bowl. So consider subscribing, especially if this is not your first time here. It would greatly help out the channel. I appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.